Mia, the question was if we have ever worked with one of the garage doors where you put in a birthday, whatever, with 4 codes, for example. The answer is yes. This was at the very beginning of the talk. You are talking about a fixed code system. A fixed code system always transmits the same code to open the door. So it's very easy to eavesdrop on this and to replay this code. There's no security, probably no security in your garage door.
Yeah. So basically all you need is this equipment and do not need to do any security stuff. Because you have to differentiate. So usually you will send the serial number and the counter value encrypted. That's your normal message containing the counter value. And the seed you would just transmit during learning mode. So that's a different message. So could send both messages, but then the seed doesn't make sense anymore because the attacker also knows the key, the seed. Sorry. Yeah, your question, I forgot you.
Are there 2 or more keys called keylog systems? For example, I have 1 in my car and 1 to my girlfriend or whatever.
The question was if there are 2 or more keys in a keylog system. For example, 1 to open your car and 1 to open your garage. Is that correct?
Yeah. 1 key in my car and 1 key
for opening your girlfriend.
Ah.
No, what it is, I understood the question. I think it's you can have these separate remote controls, but they can all rely on the same manufacturer key, but will have individual device keys. But all the individual device keys will be derived from the big master key. So it will still be the same problem that once you know the master key, that you can probably derive the device keys for the separate remote controls.
The question ends on the counter system.
Yes?
If you have 2 keys or more keys, you should have more counters.
Yes, you were asking about this eavesdropping attack, right? With the counter.
Actually, the receiver, once, so in the learning mode, you take your new transmitter, you press one button here, then the receiver is in learning mode, then you press the transmitter sends the serial number and the counter value, and the receiver will store both values. So the receiver has a list for the different keys or transmitters that are registered, sorted by the serial number, and for each serial number there's also a counter value stored. So basically the receiver can, or the garage door can even distinguish between your key and the key of your girlfriend. So they are different.
And of course your girlfriend would still be able to open the garage. So in this case we would only take over control of the one remote, and the one of your girlfriend would still work. By the way, now it's past 12. I want to say happy birthday to Dario Carluccio, who is his birthday today. He's a very important cryptographer. Okay.
Where do you see implementations of these systems? Is it only garage doors, or do you see those in car doors, or where else do you see those?
So what it is, as Thomas already said, 99% of the garage, if you have a garage door system that uses a changing code, it's 99% it's keylog. Then it's also used in some cars, but usually you are safe as a car owner because usually these systems are used for opening the cars. Usually you have, in addition, this car immobilizer, which typically does not rely on keylog but on some other system. We saw, what concerns me is there's a lot of alarm things, like car alarms and stuff like this, that is also based on this. So you should be careful what you buy. You might just ask what cipher is contained in there. No one will tell you, of course.
Well, actually, many people advertise with keylog because, well, it's securer than the password-based system where you always send the same code.
It's interesting that you can still buy these systems. So just last week I did some looked on the internet and I saw, yes, you can still buy these systems and they are just advertised as usual and they are highly secure and everyone is happy. It's surprising for me that, yeah, you are just the customers, no?
It's expensive to develop systems like that, isn't it? And so, people are reluctant. presumably people are reluctant to change these systems because they're quite expensive to develop. So it's cheaper to claim that their systems are secure rather than, developing a new one, I suppose.
They are already in the field. It's difficult to change them systems. There's another question right far at the back here. You need to shout. The question was what frequency is used, and the answer is usually for these rolling code systems, frequencies in the so-called ISM bands are used. That's 433 megahertz or 868 megahertz, with 868 megahertz being the better option for those systems because on this frequency you may not transmit for a long period, but only for short. The duration of each transmission is restricted so that your system might operate more reliable on 868 megahertz. So that's the most common two frequencies. Very old fixed base systems, they operate on 40 megahertz and other lots of frequencies, but typically 433, 868.
Have you been approached by insurance companies for advice about risk assessment?
The question was if we have been asked by insurance companies about our findings.
Well, I think for sure we have been asked by people who had trouble with the insurance company or something like that. We have had letters from private persons, even being in some kind of lawsuit or something.
Yeah, but there were also insurance. I remember that there was some insurance coming with car keys, and we looked whether there was keylog in there and stuff. Because yes, for insurances it's highly interesting because they've got a lot of cases where stuff is stolen and they have no explanation how this stuff vanished. And yes, they come up with these cases and ask whether we can have them. But usually we cannot have them because there's no evidence. Any more questions? Over there, please.
Distinguish between manipulated receiver and the original keylog operator from user. There's someone switching that block window. You could find that out because you could compare the.
Yeah. So this was not a question, but a remark that one could find out that if a receiver has been manipulated, because one could find out if the block window had been shifted. But as you saw for this eavesdropping attack, it's only shifted by one. So if Thomas did not close the garage after I went to the beach, the counter in the receiver would be only one value ahead, and this is difficult to prove. One value ahead, so...
Yeah, usually if your garage doesn't open, what do? You just press another time. So then the evidence is gone.
Do you have any more questions?
What happens if you set the counter to the maximum value? Is it locked forever?
What happens if we set the counter to the maximum value? No, because maximum value, it just turns over. So after 1 comes the value 0, 0, 0, 0. That's why this block window is always moving.
You set the 0 because that will be the log of the next number. And then the device checks, is the number I get, is it larger than the one I got? But it's not because it's 0.
It checks whether, so the receiver is there where the red dot is. And all values before this means all values, no matter if we cross this place where 0, 0, 0 changes to 1, 1, 1, all 30,000 values ahead of this currently stored value are the block window.
If we were really in a circle, the word before does not make sense.
You were saying if we are really in a circle, we what?
The word before does not make sense.
Yes, the word before does not make sense. I could explain it mathematically. If we are calculating here modulo 2 to the 16, then we could just subtract and we would still remain in the space, in the number space up to 65,000. This was no good explanation. As usual, mathematical explanations are never good. I will explain to you personally. Okay. One more question in the very back. I can hear nothing, sorry. Oh, you want to try to explain it? Maybe the three of us sit together and we explain it. Okay? Are there any more questions? So may I ask a question? Who of you has got such a remote controlled garage or car alarms? No one? 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yeah, maybe. Okay. There are quite a few. Okay.
Is there a list available with pictures of remote controls of
Is there a list available with pictures of remote controls that use keylog? No, but if you want, you can start it. I don't know so much about this hacker paragraph thing. You might take this into account when you publicize this list.
Oh, but if you want to find out, you take a look at your transmitter, and if there's some kind of dip schalter, dip switch, yeah, it's not really big. Inside, then it's probably a fixed code system. If it's just has buttons like this one, it's most probably a keylog system.
One more question over there. Sorry, I did not get these questions. Maybe I will quickly run over with the microphone, and then you can repeat it. English?
Okay, when you receive the signal, how get you the ones and zeros for the PC out of the signal that is transceived over the air?
Okay.
That's actually why we got this stuff from the hardware store and connected it to the PC. Basically, there's this RF part inside of the receiver, and we're just picking up the signal right behind the RF part of the receiver. So there's, radio part. It transforms the message or the signal sent via the RF interface into an baseband signal, into zeros and ones. And we just put them into the PC via the
It's no secret. If you want to learn it, you look into the data sheet of these HCS chips by Microchip, and there they exactly explain you this Manchester encoding that is used for the transmission, and they exactly explain how to, there's even source code for this available and freely available data sheets by Microchip that explain you how to get these hopping codes out of the field. In software.
And we just were too lazy to build it ourselves, so we bought it from the hardware store. Sorry?
We come back to you later. You're sitting too far in the back. One more question here in the front. Does that mean we are bit banging with the parallel port? Yes, we are. We just use one output pin and one input pin. This acknowledge pin of the parallel port for the input. We just pull all the time bit banging. It's called. Yeah, at the speed of Windows, which sometimes makes it more difficult. That's why the folder on the desktop is called live demo. That usually works.
Usually, yeah.
Usually works.
You were quite lucky.
It has something to do with the Windows, magic Windows timing. And parallel port is always difficult with the bit banging. Yes. Another question. No, we won't show you the manufacturer code. Unless you pay, maybe after, if you've got 1 to millions, we can have a personal talk after the presentation. We might find a criminal cryptographer for you somewhere. Iran.
On which day will the workshop be?
It will probably start tomorrow. The problem is, as usual, we are a little bit late with our planning. So we've brought all the equipment, we have got it running, but it will, during the day tomorrow, we will put some traces there and we will put some information where you can meet us, because it's rather complicated. We are a little bit late to find a place where we can put our equipment. Workshop room, I know that it's there, but we did not find yet a quarter of a table for our scope, but we will sort it. Yeah.
We did, and they probably answered already, but we didn't check the emails the last few hours.
On the wiki site, you will find more information tomorrow. So we will definitely find the time tomorrow to acquire some traces and put them there, and then we will put some time slots where you can meet us personally so that we can help you with your attacks to get them running. Maybe we can even make a competition, who is the Hall of Fame, who is the first to break the
Yeah,
stuff,
that's
and
nice.
we will see.
And if it's not going fast enough, just write an email, right? You will find our email addresses written in the wiki too.
Somewhere
So,
will be somewhere. Other
Does
question?
the near field probe cost?
How much does that near field probe cost?